This time on Movie Reviews, we're going to be looking at Quentin Tarantino's ninth film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was directed by Quentin Tarantino and stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie, and is an alternate history of the Manson murders and follows the story of Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth. Rick Dalton is a TV star that stars in a bunch of westerns and has had trouble really getting into film, which he really wants to do, and is being seen as kind of a has-been actor. Meanwhile, his best friend and stunt double, Cliff Booth, is having a lot of trouble really getting into the business of being a stuntman and is really not getting hired that much. And all of this revolves around Sharon Tate, who is a neighbor to Rick Dalton. Guys, I was really excited to finally see this movie. I love Quentin Tarantino's movies. He is one of my favorite directors of all time, and every movie he makes is just a great experience to have in a theater. Nobody makes movies like Quentin Tarantino, and I absolutely love that. He is a true auteur, and with this movie, he really just delved into the 60s and really showed his love for the time period, the movies, the TV, the actors, and the environment. This is a living, breathing reflection of 1969, and it is done masterfully by an amazing director. Now, of course, when you go and see a Quentin Tarantino film, the thing you are always going to have in his films is fantastic dialogue. Quentin Tarantino has never disappointed, really, when it comes to his dialogue and just how good he is at it. Guys, this is a movie that is so dialogue heavy, as most Quentin Tarantino movies are, and it is some of the best dialogue you are going to hear in a film all year. It is fantastic, it is witty, it is funny, and it can be really serious and dramatic at points too, and is just a blast to listen to. He just makes some of the best dialogue and some of the most memorable phrases in movie history. Also, on top of the great script, we have great actors in this film, and that isn't just from Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, who are our lead characters in this movie, who do a fantastic job. Their chemistry is fantastic, they're very good. I love the characters in this film, and these actors play them so well. They are so compelling, as well as Margot Robbie, who plays Sharon Tate in this very somber performance that's honestly kind of sad when you watch it. It's really great watching Margot Robbie in this role. However, things that happen in this film with her are kind of sad, even though they're not particularly sad scenes. But Margot Robbie, other than that, does a great job in this film portraying this character, this actor, this living person, and just plays it beautifully. Also, as with most Quentin Tarantino films, we have a cast of just amazing actors in this film that have very small, minimal roles, but they are all very just filled with life, and you remember them as soon as you leave the theater. I mean, this movie has Al Pacino, Kurt Russell, Bruce Dern, and they all do an excellent job. The comedy with some of them is fantastic, and there is one standout scene in this film. It might be my favorite scene in the movie. It involves a fight scene with Cliff Booth and Bruce Lee, and it is hilarious and just really good. And the actor they got to play Bruce Lee is so perfect. You would think that Bruce Lee came back from the dead and starred in this movie. It was that good and that authentic. And when this film needed to be emotional, it was really emotional. I really got invested in Leonardo DiCaprio's character, who is this has-been actor that is trying to make a name for himself. And really, there is this great scene between him and this little girl, this young actress that he's working with on a TV show for a little cameo appearance. And just the dialogue between them is so well done. Leonardo DiCaprio does such a good job with acting through his eyes in this scene, and it's just a really good scene overall. I also love stuff with Cliff Booth, which is Brad Pitt's character in the film, and you really see that he is not living in luxury. He is very poor and is having a hard time really getting a job, and you understand why this is happening to him and everything, why it's a problem for him to get a job, and you really do feel for him. And that's really what this movie does. It really kind of shows that everything just doesn't always work out for people. People just have a tough time in Hollywood, and that's something that this film really delves into, especially when it comes to Sharon Tate. There is this wonderful scene in the film where Sharon Tate is going to the movie theater to see her own movie, and the person at the ticket booth doesn't even know who she is. Like, she knows she's an actress, she was in Valley of the Dolls, but like, they really don't know her, and she's almost just completely forgotten about. And that scene was heartbreaking, and Margot Robbie just did such a good job in that particular scene. It was amazing to watch. Also, of course, we get the Manson family in this movie, and there's this wonderful, wonderful scene where Brad Pitt goes to Charles Manson's camp, his little commune, and it is one of the most tense scenes I have seen this year. It is very, very tense, very dark. You don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie, and he just dials it up to 11 in this scene, and it really works, and I love that scene. But the thing that people will be talking about with this film is, of course, the third act of this film, which for some people might not like it. Some people will absolutely love it, and I absolutely loved the third act of this film. It was comical. It was a Quentin Tarantino finale. If you've seen a Quentin Tarantino movie, you know how his endings usually are. They are incredibly violent, dark, gritty, and often comical. And this is exactly what this ending is here, and it's really well done and just a lot of fun. And that's what this film really was. It was a lot of fun with great actors, great just direction, great acting, and a great, fantastic script. And something else about this film, this movie is almost 3 hours, and just like Quentin Tarantino's other movies, it never feels that long. I never thought I was in the theater for almost 3 hours, and that is really good when it comes to the pacing. So yeah, guys, that's my positives with the film. So how can I have any negatives with this film? Well, I do have a couple, and we'll get into those. Well, first off, I do want to give a little bit of nitpicks I kind of have with the film. There is a particular scene in this film where Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski are going to a party in the Hollywood Hills, and there's this scene with Steve McQueen, played by a very uncanny looking impersonation and just perfect looking Damian Lewis playing him, and he starts talking about Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski, and it kind of jabs at Roman Polanski a little bit, because if you know anything about Roman Polanski, you know he is a terrible human being, and it kind of is like, I know what you're doing, but like it doesn't work with this film. It just feels very modern and out of place, and I didn't particularly like that. Also, there was this weird part in that scene where there's little pieces of text that appear on the screen where they show the actors' names that they are portraying, which I found a little odd because you never see that throughout the rest of the film, really. And also, another thing is Quentin Tarantino sort of has this narrator throughout the film, and he's really not in the film that much until the third act, in which, like, this narrator just talks nonstop, and it felt really inconsistent with the rest of the film. Also, yeah, I talked about the pacing of this film and how it is very well done, but even I will admit that the first act of this film is rather slow to get into, and it's really once you hit that second act that you are really into the film, and it's not too much of a problem once you get past that, but for a first act, it is rather slow. Also, for a film that really does take place around the Manson murders and Sharon Tate, really, when it comes to Sharon Tate, they don't do much with her. They do things with her to really understand and show just how Hollywood works and how, you know, people are basically nobodies, and she was kind of this nobody actress, and they kind of delve with that a little bit, but not too much, and I think a lot of that is that Quentin Tarantino was really trying to be respectful to Sharon Tate, and I do applaud that. However, it does make for a rather thin character, even though the actress is really good. Margot Robbie is fantastic, and what they are trying to say with her character is very well done, but I was a little disappointed that they really didn't use her that much, and she feels really disconnected from the rest of the film. And that's another thing, there's a couple of moments of real disconnect throughout the film, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I think there are a couple scenes missing. There's stuff definitely cut out of this film, but really, there are moments where it will be focusing on maybe Sharon Tate and Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and you'll just completely forget about Cliff Booth, Brad Pitt's character, for a little bit. And I found that a little odd, and then it would do that with other characters too, and it just didn't feel right and felt a little bit clunky, and that Quentin Tarantino is really doing just a lot in this film. But other than that, guys, this is a really fantastic, well-made, just amazing film that I love that we are getting such different types of films from Quentin Tarantino, and I love that because really in a summer and just movie world where we get a bunch of movies that are superhero movies and stuff like that, I love getting films like this that have a fresh voice and are very different, and this is a very different film. It's not going to be for everybody, but if you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, you have to see this movie. It's a fantastic film, well acted, well crafted, and it's just amazing. I'm going to give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood an 8 out of 10. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. This was a little longer than I actually thought it was going to be, but there was just so much I wanted to talk about with this film with you guys. So, really, guys, that's all I got for you. So, I say check out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You won't regret it. You'll laugh. You might cry. You'll really enjoy yourself. And it's just a great celebration of the 1960s. But anyway, guys, with all that said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.